Welcome to Commerce Guru.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to sift through the noise and give you the core insights on complex topics fast.
That's the goal. Quick understanding, real takeaways.
And today we're tackling something really crucial, especially if you work with diverse groups or are in any kind of leadership role, exploring differences. Think of this as your shortcut to figuring out how to genuinely use different perspectives to get, well, better results.
Absolutely. And if you're someone who wants those aha moments without wading through tons of material, this is definitely for you. We're going to break down exploring differences.
Okay.
From understanding yourself to how you interact with others. Really actionable stuff.
So the mission today is basically equipping you, the listener, with tools to see differences not as hurdles, but as advantages.
Exactly. A concrete advantage, both personally and professionally.
All right, let's jump straight in. First up, self-awareness. Sounds basic, maybe?
It does, but it's foundational.
Yeah.
You really can't effectively understand others until you understand your own sort of cultural programming.
Your own starting point.
Yeah. It means taking an honest look, like what values did you just absorb growing up? What assumptions do you carry around without even thinking about them?
Like, why do you react a certain way if someone doesn't make eye contact, for example?
Precisely. Understanding your own defaults, your own internal rules for interaction. That's step one. You need to know your own operating system before you can appreciate others.
It's like mapping your own biases, right? Before you try to read someone else's map.
Perfectly put.
And there's a real payoff here. We looked at some research showing leaders with high cultural self-awareness. They're, 35% more likely to build inclusive teams?
That's the figure. And those teams perform better. It's a significant boost.
Which ties directly into being more effective, making a bigger impact.
And interestingly, that self-knowledge, knowing your own blueprint, it sharpens how you see others. You start noticing, they're operating from a different blueprint.
Which naturally leads to the next piece.
Yeah.
Curiosity.
Exactly. Curiosity.
We all like to think we're curious, open-minded people, right?
Generally, yes.
But then you hit a situation that's really unfamiliar. Maybe a communication style that feels super abrupt, or, I don't know, a concept of time that seems completely off to you.
That's the real test. It's easy when differences are small. The challenge is when something genuinely clashes with your norms.
So what's the hack there?
The hack is consciously switching from judgment to curiosity, just asking why in a different way.
Okay, so instead of thinking, why are they always late, or why are they being so blunt?
Right. Ask, I wonder what punctuality means in their culture. Or what role does directness play in communication where they're from?
It reframes the whole thing, turns irritation into a learning moment.
It really does. It breaks down barriers, builds connection. You're seeking to understand, not just react.
And this isn't just theory. Think about a company like Airbnb. Their whole model relies on navigating cultural differences successfully.
Absolutely. That kind of global success stems from a deep curiosity about how different people live, travel, interact. Curiosity fuels that kind of innovation.
So self-awareness helps us see the blueprints. Curiosity makes us want to understand the other blueprints.
And that naturally flows into empathy, moving beyond just noticing difference to actually trying to feel what it's like from another perspective.
Empathy. Yeah, that feels like a real superpower in these situations. It's often talked about, but maybe underestimated.
I think so. Consider a team where some people come from very direct feedback cultures, others from indirect ones.
Okay. Potential for clashes there.
Big time. The direct person might seem harsh without meaning to, while the indirect person might feel ignored if their subtle cues aren't picked up. Empathy helps you navigate that.
It's like reading between the lines, understanding the intention behind the words, or the lack of words sometimes.
Exactly. It's getting a sense of the unspoken context, and it pays off. Neuroscience actually shows empathetic teams are about 20% more collaborative.
Wow, 20%.
Yeah. And they also report lower burnout rates. Because when people feel understood, even if they disagree, it just creates a healthier, more sustainable dynamic, reduces that friction.
That makes sense. Feeling seen definitely helps avoid that feeling of overwhelm, I'd imagine.
Definitely.
Okay, so understanding perspectives, that hinges massively on communication, doesn't it? You can have all the empathy in the world, but if you can't talk effectively,
You're stuck. Effective communication across differences is non-negotiable. And the bedrock of that is active listening.
which is more than just not talking while someone else is.
Much more. It's really concentrating, focusing on understanding, asking questions to clarify.
Like, so if I'm hearing you right, you mean?
Yes. Or repeating back what you think they said to confirm. So many misunderstandings, especially in diverse teams, come from just assuming you know what the other person means.
We've probably all seen that happen. Even a simple word like yes can mean different things, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. In some cultures, it's firm agreement. In others, it might just mean, I hear you, not I agree with you. Big difference in a project.
So what helps teams get better at this? What are the practical steps?
Things like cross-cultural communication workshops can be really useful. Language support if needed, obviously. Even just sessions where people can talk openly about different styles. Cultural decoding, you could call it.
Decoding sessions. I like that. It sounds proactive.
It is. It's about preventing those communication breakdowns before they derail things.
Okay, so we're building self-awareness, being curious, practicing empathy, communicating carefully. But just understanding differences isn't quite the end goal, is it?
No, not quite. There's a really important step beyond just understanding or even tolerating difference.
Which is?
Truly celebrating it. There's a world of difference between tolerance and celebration.
Explain that difference. Tolerance feels more passive.
Yeah, tolerance is like saying, okay, you can be here. I accept your presence. Celebration is active. It's saying, wow, we are better, smarter, more creative because you're here with your unique background.
That's a much more positive framing. We're better because you're here.
It is. And you see companies trying to embody this, like Salesforce, for example, making a point to recognize and celebrate diverse cultural moments. Pride, Diwali, Lunar New Year.
And that's more than just like putting up decorations, right? It's about signaling genuine value.
It has to be effective. When it's genuine, it builds real team pride, boosts morale, creates that sense of belonging we talked about.
And again, there's a business case, too. The research we looked at suggests inclusive cultures are way more innovative.
Like 1.7 times more innovative, according to one study.
Wow. And they have higher cash flow per employee, too.
Yeah, something like 2.3 times higher. So celebrating diversity isn't just feel-good stuff. It directly impacts the bottom line and the overall health of the organization.
Okay, but let's be realistic. Even when you celebrate differences, sometimes those different perspectives will clash. You're going to get conflict, right?
Absolutely. And that's okay. Conflict in diverse teams isn't automatically a bad sign. Sometimes it means people feel safe enough to actually disagree, to push back.
Which can be healthy.
It can be, yes. The key is how it's handled. Is it destructive, personal, or is it constructive?
Right. Constructive conflict. That's where you disagree, maybe argue a point, but ultimately learn from it and find a better solution together.
Exactly. Different viewpoints rubbing against each other can actually spark brilliant ideas, but only if the conflict is managed respectfully, focusing on the ideas, not the people.
So understanding different communication styles and perspectives beforehand probably helps keep conflict constructive.
Hugely. If you have that cultural competence, you're less likely to misinterpret disagreement as a personal attack. You can focus on the substance.
And there's data on this, too. I think Harvard Business Review found something.
Right, HBR suggests that teams skilled in culturally competent conflict resolution can see productivity boosts of up to 25% because they resolve things faster and often arise at better outcomes.
So don't fear conflict, but learn how to navigate it well. Makes sense. And all of this, the self-awareness, curiosity, empathy, communication, celebration, conflict navigation, it sounds like it's not a one and done kind of thing.
Definitely not. Exploring differences is an ongoing journey. It's a mindset, really, a commitment to continuous learning.
Like you don't just become culturally competent and then stop.
No way. Cultures evolve, situations change, you meet new people, you have to stay curious, keep learning, be willing to question your own assumptions again and again. Read stuff, watch things, ask questions, learn from your mistakes.
I remember one source compared it to going to the gym for your brain.
That's a great analogy, building that cultural intelligence muscle. It strengthens your leadership.
Yeah. And it's telling that huge companies, Microsoft, IBM, Netflix, they all have ongoing programs for this stuff, right?
They do. They see cultural fluency not just as nice to have, but as a core capability, a real competitive advantage in a globalized world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the central message we want listeners to take away?
I think it's that actively exploring and leveraging differences makes everything better. It leads to fairer workplaces, yes, but also smarter decisions, more innovation, and frankly, just more interesting environments.
It's not just about ethics, it's about effectiveness.
Exactly. Better outcomes all around.
And that core equation seems to be something like Your own self-awareness, plus real curiosity, plus practicing empathy.
That combination creates a kind of leadership that actually works, that's resilient and effective, no matter how diverse the context.
So here's something to maybe mull over after this. Think about the last time you encountered a perspective that really felt different from yours. How did you react internally? What was your first instinct?
Yeah.
And maybe next time, consciously try to engage with that difference from a place of curiosity first. Just see what happens. What might you uncover? How could it shift your own view, even slightly?
Great thought to leave people with.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Thanks for watching.